Maintenant, je propose tout de suite, sans plus tarder, à Martine de prendre la suite avec toujours le même sujet, toujours la même thématique, et donc on pourra réunir peut-être soit à la fin de la session, soit après vos deux interventions. Et Morissette, ton intervention fait aussi un peu écho à ce dont on a parlé en fin de matinée avec la présentation de Marina aussi sur le réseau des musées, le réseau des écomusées que nous connaissons bien. Voilà. Donc Martine, à toi la parole.
Merci. I'm going to speak in English again. Sorry to some of you, and probably to others is better English. So here is English and French. I'm going to share my screen also just to share some very preliminary, very preliminary ideas on literary tourism. Okay, it's as I say, I promise to really work on the subject, and I'm very glad this has become a subject for our project Cultural Plus, mostly because of Laurent and his proposal for the International Week in France. He was also proposing some activities dealing with literary tourism, and since then, from the we have thought that really speaking about cultural heritage and rural development, literary heritage and tourism is very important really for us, for all regions, I think participant regions, participant countries. So I just want to share some ideas, and I will be, I think, shorter than our colleague before. Um, I would like to highlight that speaking about literary tourism is or give us the opportunity to think and to speak about and to study about the relationships between literature and tourism. So we can think about literary roots, also literary landscape, as they have most or more decided to call the literary resources for tourism in Extremadura landscape before than roots. There are also literary places, of course. In France, you have a long experience with Les Maisons d'Écrivains, but there is not only the places where the writers were born, or were lived and wrote their pieces. Also, the places in the where they are located, some literary events, like for example in Mexico, some hotel called Under the Volcan, remembering some classic literature from also foreign writers, in Cuernavaca, in a city called Cuernavaca. Also, there are some very famous libraries or bookshops, or we have also some bookshop that we consider a good practice case. For example, in Villarreal, we have visited always lately the library Tragamundos. It's very nice place where you can find mostly pieces of the books from the writers of the region, but also products of the region, mixturing, for example, soap, or wine, and books. But his founder, proprietary, Antonio Alves, I think I don't remember well the surname, but he says that he will place a bottle of wine, but besides the book. So the client, the tourist, take the wine, but the book come on. So it's quite a lover, a book lover, and reading lover. He support all writers in the region, literature for children, poetry, social science, romance, novels, all that. Uh, I have in my hands, this is not, oh, this is taken from internet, but I have it also in my hands. I don't know if you can see it here. If you are seeing me, the passport of Maison de Criban, the La Nouvelle Aquitanie. I think it's a very good idea. A passport, it can be more or less successful, but we have seen other passports that are well functioning. For example, with thermal waters in Chaves and Berin, we have made some experience there with the passport, and always it's a vehicle, a mean for the network to be alive, to get life. This will be the map of the network in Nouveau Aquitanie, mostly formed again, as our colleague was showing us, by associations and also by the Maison de Criban. Um, this is another good case I found in the internet. It's Gaskell's house. Elizabeth Gaskell is a writer from Manchester province. And this museum aims to nurture a family and community feeling by way of involving the visitor in a personal and personalized optic. That means tactile literary experience. So there, the things are to touch, to feel like she was feeling in the moment, in the epoch. The house team has worked hard to ensure sustainable and environmentally friendly business practices, which earned them a Silver Sustainable Tourism Award. So it's quite curious how a museum of literary museum can also have a role on sustainability, as we saw this morning with Veronique's also communication, sorry, how they care about these sustainable development goals, and do things for that to happen and get awarded because of that. This is something that uh, it's about a project called Postcard project. It's promoted by this Gaskell House or by authors very related, associated to the house. And they have taken the literary tourists' experience and discourses to see how what kind of experience they have with the object of literature and the place. For example, this is a phrase saying, wandering around Rio de Janeiro in honor of Machado de Assis, transformed the literary works from mysterious texts into locatable multidimensional experiences. So really, it can change the reading of the piece when you go to the place that inspired it or that are related in that books. Waiting for the next slide. Another experience from the postcard project engaging with an author's history in situ or handling and viewing their material remains could help them reconnect with latent parts of their own personalities. Shannon felt that Lewis Carroll's, Shannon is a literary tourist, we can call her like that, Lewis Carroll's characters came to life at the British Library and joined the exhibition's visitor in its fun, whilst Hannah found that visiting Hans Christian Andersen's hometown helped reawaken her silly side. Hmm. Okay, so it's a little bit, they share a little bit like the film Turim's, this postmodernist gaze at the process. Okay, we know now the product, the book, and we want to know how it was made. We want to really go beyond the product and enter the processes and experience and enjoy seeing how the process was how it was written, how it was filmed. Hmm. Then the literary tourist experience is connecting the reader, the visitor, with the place, with the text, with the author. And very important, I want to highlight very much here in my intervention with the mediator, if there is one, with the guide. Uh, in the European cultural routes, itineraries, we can find I think, just one uh, dealing directly with literary, based in literature. And this one was that inspired me to work a little bit in literary tourism because of Laurent, that said that this route is crossing some places not very far from Clermont-Ferrand, and it was really one of the places we want to visit. It was and it is, and it will be, I hope, hopefully, one of the places that we can visit some of the agents working in this route. Mm, Then it's very important to see that if cultural routes can be designed and managed based on literary works. Also, there is something very important that literary works influence other cultural routes. For example, the Way of Santiago, the Camino de Santiago, have been very impacted because of some literary works. This is Pioneer from Shirley MacLaine, The Way, The Camino, A Journey of the Spirit. But we have also another famous spiritual uh, literar, Paulo Coelho, has impacted very much also the number of visitors coming from Brazil, for example, with this book, or an example from Germany, very well known because it was afterwards, after the book was written, a television series, TV series was filmed. So it's combining literature and media, visual media. It reinforces very much the impact of the books. This also it's an example from a Korean writer, Kim Hyo-sun, and it has very much to do with Korean pilgrims coming to Santiago. Mm, There is also a very interesting phenomenon, recent, at least as a marketing phenomenon, that we can find literary walls or literary phrases, extracts from books, from famous books, um, in cafes and restaurants. For example, like this one, I can translate: life is not to wait, until the storm has gone is to learn how to dance under the rain. So I think this phrase is good for the times we are living. This is a phrase in the wall of a cafe, but I have seen. It's a pity that I didn't find the pictures now in internet. I have some, but oof, it's difficult in my files to find these pictures. But I have found in the frontier, right in the frontier between Spain and Portugal, in the village of Marbao and in the village of Vilar Formoso, in the cafes, these phrases of famous Portuguese poets and writers. Mm, There is also very interesting case. I don't know if call it a good practice. This is a movement created in the 90s, but that have some movement now, have some dynamism, and that in this village called Colmenar de Arroyo, it's a village very with low tourist visitors beside Madrid, but they have done this intervention, artistic intervention, and these are poetic phrases, and some of them are related with the, for example, this one with the shops, the commerce. Here is saying we are meat and kisses. We are meat and kisses, and it's beside the battery. So it's really here. It's in a dental. Uh, we used to say borrón y cuenta nueva. Here it's like delete and new smile. New smile. Here is a hairdress, and it's another common phrase, but intervene is change it. Normally it's pelillos a la mar. The L goes with the A, and there are three words here, and it means like the little chevaux, le chevaux à la mer. I don't know if there is something like that in French, but here it has changed the sense completely. So it's small phrases that can make much sense and much impact. Okay, in Extremadura, just to finish, as I say, very preliminary, and hopefully it will be continued in the course of the project. In the 2017, they have issued both for the two provinces, as we can see in my intervention, always this balance between Cáceres and Badajoz. If as is the okay, the community Extremadura is ruling a little bit the many administrative issues, so they used to preserve a balance, even though this is from the province authority, but they have made one for Cáceres, the province of Cáceres, and one for the province of Badajoz. And a little bit the same case that in your region, in France, in Auvergne, Allier, we don't have very well-known, very famous writers, are even less known in our region. So this is really a up-button design, looking for all the resources they could find to set the landscapes or the routes. and it's as it is very recent. I think it has still low movement, low activity, or known activity. But it's then a great entrepreneurship opportunity and for employment, but also for a cultural service to the region. And we can then think about the entrepreneur, as we are very fond also on cultural guides. The guides we I say we because we have worked a lot in Culture Plus in the former strategic partnership. We have worked with guides, with how to provide education to cultural guides, how to promote their activity, what are their problems. And I think in this case, the guide can be an entrepreneur, dynamic actor to foster these little details in places that can really appear, um, that can really show the literary heritage background in Extremadura, and can be the link, because we don't have these associations. I think still we have some houses of the writers, but not many associations, not many places dedicated to foster, to promote literary tourism in Extremadura. So in this case, and we are going to try to help to support some of our entrepreneurs to take a step on this. They can be really a dynamic actor to try to activate these networks, activate these resources, to foster associations or even networks, the federations that we were seeing. So in this case, as there is many things for to do, still to do, I think the entrepreneurs, as cultural guides, as literary tourism guides, can have a very interesting, relevant role to foster literary tourism in Extremadura. And this is all I wanted to say by now. I'm sorry that I was not more deeply in the case of Extremadura, but hopefully some ideas have awakened you some interest also.